What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hamas Tang, and today we got the most expensive phone here on this channel. And normally I like to review a lot of the flagship phones, and of course those flagship phones will come with a flagship price tag. And currently right now, before this phone arrived, the most expensive phone was the Galaxy S21 Ultra. But over here with the Galaxy Z Fold 2, it just flat out beats the S21 Ultra in terms of the price. So if we talk about the price over here, if you want to get this in 2021 brand new, it goes for a sale I think about 6,000 to 7,000, which is I think about 1,600 to 1,800 USD. But I managed to get this for about less than 5,000 ringgit Malaysia here, and that is equal to about I think 1,200 USD. So of course at that price point I was really tempted, and I wanted to just try out what a foldable phone would feel like. So yes, I want to see how is it like. And of course here on this channel I have the privilege of using multiple devices at the same time. I'm going to answer also the questions. Is this a replacement for having two phones? Is this a replacement for having a mini tablet? And in today's video, let's find out. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. I'm going to start off with the build and design. So I'm going to start off here on the outer build here as well. And as you can see here, it looks very similar to like the Note 20 Ultra. The color as well, the Mystic Bronze looks very similar. Alright, so as you can see here, the build and design is really good. You do have your Gorilla Glass Victus on the back, and as you can see here, not much fingerprints on it. And going on the front here as well, you do have a glass build. Going on to the side here, all this framework, it is made of aluminium. And on the inner surface, this is where you get your plastic build. And I don't think this is much of a problem, seeing that of course your display has to be a little bit flexible over here. So yes, I know you guys have heard about this, and I have to say it again, this phone is a very big, chunky and thick phone. As you can see here, it is pretty thick, and of course it is because you're slapping on two displays onto a sandwich over here. So yes, it will look thicker, and yes, definitely if you put this in your pocket, you know, some people who look at you and you think you'll be a bit too excited to see them. But all in all, I gotta say, yes, it's really good in terms of the grip, because it is pretty narrow over here. So actually just holding the phone over here is not much of an issue. Just like gripping it here, of course it gives you a lot of grip. Moving around the phone going on to the other side as well is pretty handy, and you don't get much problems with it so far. And of course just a bit of finger gymnastics to reach to the top over here. And if you go on to the unfolded side of things, this is where the big screen is. In terms of gripping on the back here, it's not too bad, I would say. It's pretty easy to grip. Even with one hand, it kind of feels very balanced in hand. So you're not going to have a lot of wobble, and you don't have to use a lot of strength or balance with this. And moving around as well, it's pretty easy. And with one hand, of course, in your reading mode as well, it's pretty easy. And one thing I was really worried here was the hinge part of this. So as you can see here, they have this thing built into their hinge, and this basically was the part that I was worried about, if the dust or water particles might enter into here. But Samsung has done a really good job coming out with a hinge system to kind of push down the display to make sure that no dust or water might enter into your display, and you know, you don't want your sand or whatever to enter if you do put it in your pocket. So yes, it's some things like, you know, these small things that Samsung has done to show that they are actually quite well known, or they're quite well educated when it comes to their foldable phones. So next thing I want to talk about here is the display of this. And as you can see here, it is a bit unusual compared to your normal phones. The phone is a bit taller, and not only that, the phone is of course very narrow. So yes, it does take some time to kind of adjust yourself, and but to be honest, it did not take me that long to adjust myself to this kind of form factor over here. And the reason for that is because if you're scrolling through your Facebook or whatever, as you can see, not much of an issue over here, because it's just pretty easy when you're just scrolling through vertically. And even if you go to your Google Discover here as well, it's very easy. The font size and everything isn't much of an issue. The only issue I would say that will come is when you're watching content over here. And I'm not sure why that one appeared, because that's Dr. Mike. Alright, so if I'm watching some content over here, as you can see, it's just it looks a bit weird because it's so tiny on the top over here. And if you do decide to use the full screen mode over here, as you can see, a lot of wasted space on the side. And if you do decide to go to the full screen, as you can see here, a lot of cutouts everywhere, on the sides, on the top, on the bottom. So I don't think you're going to enjoy content in this full screen mode, and most of the time, you know, all this content will be on the 16:9 ratio, but as you can see here, this is more like a 18:9 maybe, or a 19:9, and it's a bit overstretched. And if we go on to certain apps like the game stuff you want to do, not all games, to be honest, are optimized for this. So if I go on to like Cafe Land or whatever, as you can see here, again, a lot of wasted space, which is a bit of a problem. And it's a bit wasted because Samsung has their own Galaxy Store, and I did wish that they could have done it a little bit better here, and maybe given us more apps on the Galaxy Store and a bit more well-optimized apps for the Galaxy Fold series, seeing that they are actually venturing into the foldable phones in the near future. They're going to go into that. So I did wish with the Galaxy Store that they could have just optimized the apps a little bit better. And if we go on again to the unfoldable stage over here, as you can see, the content you're watching is really good, very big, as you would expect. But if you go on to the full screen mode here as well, it looks very, very unusual. As you can see here, a lot of wasted space, but you do get a very large screen. And if you want to go to the film mode over here, I'm not sure why. Let's try that again. As you can see here, again, a lot of cutouts because this is more of a 4:3 ratio. So as you can see here, in terms of the ratio of the phone, whether it's in its foldable stage or unfoldable stage, you have to have some compromises with that. But one thing I really like about this foldable design is that if you're using like Facebook or whatsoever and you want to open up another app, like say YouTube, so you want to watch more content on here and you want to read stuff over here and go through your Facebook. So you can just play content over here and then just scroll through your Facebook. But the only problem that comes with this is that if you have a certain content you want to watch here and you don't want this to stop playing, you will not get that and it will stop over here. So let me just try to find if anything. Yeah. So if I click on this, as you can see here, it stops on the other side. This is one thing again that you have to compromise in case if you like a lot of sound. And one more thing that I like about this is the fact that you can actually kind of add some more multitasking over here. As you can see, you know, you have 3 things running, which is awesome. You can check out your emails, you can go through your Facebook, you can go through some content over here, which is just really, really cool. And you can kind of just adjust it as you would. And again, another thing that is not well optimized is the apps, again, even in its unfoldable stage. So as you can see here, this one is not too bad, I would say. But if you go on to like Facebook, okay, I need to skip this. But as you can see here, it just looks like a stretched out display rather than a well-optimized kind of a mini tablet display. If you guys have used an iPad mini, you guys will know how it actually feels like to have a proper bigger display and more functions. This one just looks out like a stretched out phone display, which is a little bit kind of cheap in my liking, I would say. That's the perfect word. And again, not all apps are optimized. As you can see here, it's on the center over here. It's not yet like fully stretched. And there are certain apps that you can actually force stretch, but it looks really, really weird and I don't really use it. So again, I hope with the Galaxy Store that they could a little bit more put some effort into it and kind of optimize their apps for this. And just one more thing about the display over here. On the outer display, you are given a 60Hz AMOLED panel, a dynamic AMOLED panel, no 120Hz. But over here, you do get your 120Hz, but yeah. As you can see here, you do got your crease and all that, but you do have your 120Hz dynamic AMOLED display, which is really, really good. And to be honest, front and back in terms of the resolution has been really, really good on both sides. The thing here that I want to talk about are the cameras. So this is how it actually looks like. This is the 16:9 ratio. And yeah, as you can see here, again, it doesn't look very natural, and I did find myself very difficult to kind of get used when taking photos in terms of getting the ratio right. I always felt that it was a bit more one-sided, and that came with the issues as well. And of course, here you do have your selfie camera, and also you do have a selfie camera on the inner display as well. So if you're into a lot of video calling, a lot of Zoom calls, this one would help you. And over here on the back, you do have your back camera, triple camera setup. And talking about this here, you have your cover screen preview, which you can use the back camera to maybe get a very nice selfie shot. But to be honest, I don't see a lot of people using this, seeing that, if you do slap on a case over here, and you have to hold your phone like this to get your perfect shot, you might drop this, and of course you do not want this to happen because, this is a very expensive phone. So, okay, now it's to the first question. Is this able to replace two devices at the same time? And to answer that question, let us go to why you want to do that. And again, it's all about the multitasking. So like I mentioned, you can open your Facebook here, your email here, and just watch your content over here. But like I mentioned before, not all apps are optimized in this aspect. And also, if you want to hear two things at once, it doesn't do that. Of course, if you have two devices here, you can do whatever you want on each of the devices. You can be playing some music here, watching your Netflix on the other side, checking your emails here, and you still get the full screen mode. The other thing that I think a lot of people would want to use it for is maybe for the screen resolution, for the screen size of this. So I'm going to show you some example here. So just say you're watching content here, you want this big display. And of course, if you compare this to a normal phone, this is what you're going to get in terms of the size. Pretty similar, I would say, in terms of the height. And in terms of the width, you can see it's almost the same. But of course, this one, when you do decide to go to its full screen mode, you don't get a lot of cutouts on the side as compared to the Galaxy Fold over here. Another mode that you can use this at is with the this design over here, the full screen mode. And as you can see here, yes, it does definitely look bigger compared to your normal display. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of people would be complaining about the bigger display. But of course, the only issue that I have with this is sometimes that if you want to watch it, you have to hold it. If you are like into some meeting, or if you're into like some eating or whatever, you use your phone and you want to prop this up, because it's very hard to put a phone stand behind this. And this is how it would actually look like. So it's not going to be very natural, and you do have that crease over here. But if you are able to get past that, I think that is not much of a problem. And other than that, yeah, watching content, I would say it's just better to have two phones, to be honest. I think in my opinion, having two phones to serve that purpose, definitely it does better. But of course, if you want that portability issue, you don't want to bring two phones with you, this one is a very good option. Of course, when we talk about the front display here, I think this is a bit of a no-brainer, seeing that, of course, the ratio here is pretty off. So you want to watch content here, it's a bit more difficult compared to your inner display over here, and of course compared to your normal phone. The next thing here is this able to replace your tablet, and I would say at this time not yet, until they probably optimize the apps like I mentioned. Maybe they can just change the ratio of the certain apps like your YouTube, Instagram, all this other stuff, and I think once they do that, they are able to cover that area. Other than that, of course, this foldable phone over here does have the advantage of being very versatile. Yes, you can have your mini tablet in your hand, you can have your normal phone in your hand as well. So all in all, what I gotta say is that yes, the foldable phone does serve its purpose. You can have a normal phone, like I mentioned, you can do whatever you want over here, but it does have its own limitations. And of course, if you want to go a big screen mode over here as well, it is able to do that, but it also does have its own limitations as well. So it's a really good concept done by Samsung, and I do hope, again, with the Z Fold 3, let's see if there's any improvements in that area. So yes, if you guys did find this video helpful and also did enjoy this, do click the like and smash the subscribe button down below for more videos like this in the future. Do also follow me on my social as well, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also here on YouTube at Dr. Hummus Tech. So that is it. This is Dr. Hummus Tech. Stay safe, take care, and wash those hands.